Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Purpose Amplified. It's been a few months since I've had a guest on and an episode, so thank you for hanging in there. And speaking of guests and episodes, if you are an individual or an organization who is out there making an impact for your community or the global community, I would love to hear from you and have you featured as a guest. So, why Purpose Amplified? I launched this series last year because I truly believe that we all have a calling to some kind of bigger purpose. And that's how I lead my life. And it's so amazing to come across individuals and organizations who are doing what they do to make an impact on their community and on our world overall. And I know that you can do it too if you have an idea to try to make an impact for your world, because I think together we can all make a larger impact. And I think I need to find a different word for impact. So perhaps use the thesaurus, Anne. But today I'm really thrilled and excited and honored to share Jamilah Robinson's story. Jameela and I met because of Cami Hoysett and Social Media Breakfast. Shout out to Social Media Breakfast. And Jameela is a marketer herself, and her agency works specifically with nonprofit organizations. But in our conversation to get to know each other, I learned that she founded and serves as the executive director of Missing Pieces Support Group. And so I couldn't wait to have her on and to share her story and share the mission and the work that Missing Pieces Support Group is doing. So without further ado, welcome, Jameela.
Hi, Anne. And I love the word impact, by the way, and that intro music you've got going on for this live stream. So
thank you. It's kind of rocking, right? Like it sets the mood. I know, because I was like, okay, I sound very repetitive. And as marketers, we don't like to sound that repetitive with the same word. But welcome. I only briefly introduced you. I'd love for you to share a little bit more with the audience. And welcome to anyone viewing today. Please feel free to drop a comment or a question as we are chatting through the show.
Sure. Happy to share. So I've been a digital marketer for about 8 years now, specifically helping small businesses and nonprofits with their social media marketing, video production, and web development type of content. And about 3 years ago, I started my own nonprofit out of loss that really made me depressed and spiraled into a state of misery, but was able to recover with the help of an intentional support group. And because of that pregnancy loss support group community, I wanted to do something specifically to help those who found themselves in the position that I was in. And so I reached out to fellow support group members who are also now my lifelong friends. We have been doing life after pregnancy loss together, and we formed a nonprofit whose mission is to serve women and families who have experienced miscarriages, stillbirths, and abortions. And it is called Missing Pieces Support Group because the life after loss journey includes figuring out and dealing with your mental health, as well as going through that grief process, which doesn't look like the same thing for everyone.
No, and when you mentioned that you founded a group like that, I thought, wow, this is a topic that is not often spoken of because it seems so taboo. And so many times women and families and their partners have to go through this alone or feeling like they're alone and grieving alone and not feeling that there's support. And that's why I was like, oh, I've got to feature you and Missing Pieces Support Group on the show because you experienced it yourself. And so thank you for sharing that story because I realize it's painful and probably not something that a lot of people feel comfortable sharing. And so I absolutely appreciate that. But this is so often what happens is there's a need because we've gone through it ourselves or somebody close to us has experienced it and there's not anything to fill that need. And you started your own thing to feel that need and make that impact. And so I applaud your efforts. Absolutely.
I have, let me talk about that sharing your story piece,
Yeah.
because, in the beginning, when I did experience miscarriage, it was exactly what you described. I felt isolated and alone because I didn't know who'd gone through it. I didn't know who I could reach out to without getting my feelings hurt, things of that nature, right? And what's so unfortunate about that piece is that miscarriage and pregnancy loss are common. We've just made it a taboo topic that no one is bringing up. And so that's one of our initiatives, is to normalize the conversation around pregnancy loss, because every 1 in 4 pregnancies end in miscarriage. Every 1 in 60 pregnancies end in stillbirth. Those numbers make it common enough to be talking about.
That is definitely more common. And I knew about the 1 in 4 and ending in miscarriage. I didn't realize the stillbirth was so common, 1 in 60. That's makes it very common for sure. And you would think, I guess, because we think we're in the 21st century and we have all these medical advances, that surely there would be less issues, challenges, experiences with stillbirths, but the varying reasons can happen. And I myself have known several people, several women who have experienced stillbirths and several women who have experienced multiple miscarriages. And I always kind of felt at a loss, like, how can I help them?
Right.
And without like making them feel worse. I didn't want them to feel worse, but I think in a way, just like you said, it's a loss, just like as if you had lost a loved one and you had a funeral, and so you're grieving. And so kind of talk us through, I know that you said you'd experienced the loss and you experienced grief and you were looking for resources and you were lucky enough to have this support group. So how did it all come about to become Missing Pieces support group?
That's a great question. And first off, with finding the resource, getting to those resources is something that's still currently a challenge. I happened upon the resource of a support group through Bo's Place, that's not too far from Energy Stadium, by reaching out to a friend who I knew who had a stillbirth. And the difference in the information that you get depending on the length of your pregnancy is it's quite embarrassing, because I got nothing for my 7 week and my 10 week miscarriage miscarriage experiences. I was just treated and then sent home. But with stillbirths, you also have to go through the process of burying the baby, and they of course realize mental health issues that might, and grief support needs in that area. And so she was given a list from the doctor's office of potential resources that she could use. Now that list looked like it was printed in the 19th century, and there was a lot of outdated information. But that one resource of that support group was so helpful for me, because I got to sit in a room with others who had experienced a similar loss, and we noticed similarities in our stories. So that just kind of leveled the playing field to know that, hey, this is a safe space for me to talk and to figure out my issues amongst these women. And it's life-changing, simply life-changing. And so, for those 7 weeks I was there, and then we continued to meet on our own, because we developed these bonds and friendships that we created within the support group. And about a year after the support group's experience, it'd been on my heart to do something for women who had gone through what we had gone through, because we didn't want them to have the access to the limited resources or just stumble into something that could help. We wanted to be able to provide a storehouse of informational resources. We could figure out how they want to deal with their grief. So on our website, we list local support groups, therapists that are within the pregnancy loss space, And, for someone that's not necessarily ready to sit in a support group or talk to a therapist, they can listen to other stories through a podcast or a book, because not everybody grieves the same way. So that was one of our first things that we did. And then the next thing we decided to offer through the nonprofit that we formed was a care package, which is simply an offer that women can go on our website to receive, that includes tangible self-care items like chocolate, tea, eye mask, because this is a time where you're gonna be crying a lot. But then some grief support tools that begin to help you think about dealing with your loss. We have a book entitled Love Baby, 30 devotionals to help you grieve the loss of your pregnancy. And then we have an ornament that could be hung on the tree in remembering that loss during the holidays. So, and then one of the most important pieces that we put in that care package is a note that acknowledges the loss. It helps women and families to feel seen and in a way that they are often overlooked and expected to deal with quickly and just pick up life. So we always want to acknowledge the loss and then let those individuals know that we're here to help whenever they're ready to deal with that loss.
So did I hear you correctly saying that when you had experienced this loss yourself, there were literally no resources that were provided to you by your healthcare providers or anybody else?
That's correct. All they address is the clinical. They tell you to go and get your DNC, and then once the remains are cleared, they send you on your way.
That just blows my mind, considering that this is such a common occurrence for women. As you mentioned, 1 in 4, that's 25% of 1 in 4.
Yeah.
And that there is no other support aside from, here's what's gonna clinically happen to your body. There's no support for you emotionally, mentally, for you and your partners and your families. That absolutely truly blows my mind. And I'm so glad that you were able to, have the wherewithal and get together and create this organization, because it sounds like Missing Pieces support group is very much needed.
Yeah.
You mentioned some resources. What kind of resources? I think you mentioned a book, and then what other resources do you provide for your constituents?
Well, about a year ago, we were able to partner with a therapist in this space who helped us create curriculum to create our own support group. And we are now on our second class of helping women connect, gather, engage, and talk and communicate in that manner. And so we have our care package offering, which we distribute through online, and then we also partner with birthing centers, doulas, places where a loss can occur, so that that person won't leave empty-handed.
Yeah.
So those are our two major offerings that we serve Greater Houston with. Is that care package offering, and then the opportunity to participate in a support group. And again, because this is a common thing and Houston is so big, there's several other nonprofits like ours, but it's only a handful.
Yeah.
So it's truly an underserved community that needs tons of support.
Yeah, I think underserved is definitely an understatement there, because it's not a normalized conversation that we are having, and I'm glad that you are bringing this awareness. Your group is bringing this awareness and trying to normalize that discussion and that conversation. I want to say hello to my friend Debbie, who's joined in viewing, and she said that blows my mind as well. When I was talking about, I can't believe that there would be no other resources for women.
Crazy, Debbie. Yeah, it's crazy. And again, the later in your pregnancy and approaching stillbirth, you get certain things from the hospital. But if it weren't for support services like Missing Pieces, most women would leave with very few things to help them figure out the next step.
Yeah, and I feel like I think just from the outside looking in, right? I think it seems like family and friends want to help women and their partners who've experienced move on as fast or as quickly as possible. And I get that, right?
Right.
But we have to acknowledge that there was a loss
Right.
for this family, and we have to have that conversation, just as you would acknowledge a loss of a loved one if they passed away, and you had a funeral and you had all the pomp and circumstance that goes with a memorial for this person. It's I feel like it would be the same way for someone who's lost a pregnancy.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, again, everybody grieves differently, but being acknowledged, it would have been extremely helpful for me, except especially with the second miscarriage that I experienced. Uh, just
Wow.
like with grief, people, they expect you to pick up and move on so quickly, and
Yeah.
it doesn't always work that way. For some people it does, but for others, if they don't address that grief, it can haunt them the rest of their lives.
Yeah. No, I'm glad that that you said that, right? That you're correct. Everybody does grieve differently. Now, you mentioned having a therapist come in who created a curriculum for you. And so that's the curriculum that your support group is offering to families and women and their partners. Is there an opportunity to meet with a therapist or a counselor within your group, or do you refer out to those professionals?
Yes, directly in our group, but we do have a list of trusted therapists that we recommend and refer if someone wants to meet one. And those are listed on our website, the resources tab. So, if somebody's looking to just meet individually with a therapist, we would start with this.
No, that's good to know, because it's hard to
Uh-uh.
really even start that research
There,
process.
are you there?
Yes, I think you're frozen, Jamila, your video, but I can still hear you.
Oh,
Are you
man.
there? This is the joys of live streaming, everyone. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for Jamila's connection to reconnect,
Can you hear
if
me
you've
now?
not, yes, I can hear you. Your video still kind of gets frozen, but I can at least hear you.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
Oh no, you're fine.
I'm moving around.
I know Wi-Fi can be spotty. Oh, tech is our friend, but when it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
But I encourage everyone to connect with
come on,
Jameela.
internet.
Again, I've
Save
dropped
the
her.
day.
What's that? So I've dropped Jamila's link here, and it's also within the she's tagged within the copy of the post. And then feel free to check out Jamilah Robinson, JamilaHRobinson.com, which is her website for her business that serves nonprofits with marketing solutions. And then, of course, don't forget Missing Pieces Support Group.org. They also have a presence on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram. So definitely go support them on the socials. And I'm hoping I'll be able to get Jamilah back here shortly. Are you back?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, now I can hear you again. Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry you're having such issues with the live streaming.
Me too. Me too. But you feeling great.
Well, thanks. I've done this for a little bit, but no,
Yes.
I absolutely appreciate the again the I feel like the honesty that you're sharing. Right, again, it's such a difficult conversation, and for both parties. And I'm wondering if down the road you might be able to offer some of that support for those their loved ones who want to support the people who have experienced this loss but aren't sure how. Did you hear me, Jamila?
Yeah. So I did some of the practical ways that we give advice when helping to support someone in this space. is they can sign up for a care package to be distributed to this person. If you don't know
Oh,
what
to a loved one, they
yeah,
don't have to be the one who's experienced loss. Okay.
absolutely, absolutely. So you can have it shipped, and we can include your name as the giver of the gift if you want. That way, you don't have to figure out what to give or pick, and it helps the person. And and I know we put a lot of emphasis on words and things to say during this time, but sometimes just sitting and being there with the person is more helpful than anything. And just knowing that they're safe and comfortable with you because you've chosen to sit there with that person gives them a feeling of, oh, okay, I can talk to this trusted source. I'm okay with opening up now. And then that's just your opportunity to listen and support in that moment. Saying
No,
less.
thank you for bringing that up. I agree. I think there is definitely, it's powerful to know that someone is just holding space for you, sitting there with you. You don't have to say anything. And I feel like a lot of times we think, oh, there's got to be something to fill that void, but just simply being there is showing that you care. And thank you for bringing that up because it's a very good point.
Yeah, yeah. People overlook just, being in the moment with somebody. It's it's life changing, and it means a bunch to the person on the receiving end.
Yeah, absolutely. So one quick other little tidbit. I know you mentioned having a second miscarriage. How often does that happen? What are the statistics on that, or do you have that information that you'd be able to share?
I don't have statistics around it, but we also record testimonials to help support pregnancy loss awareness. And, that's a pretty common theme in several of the stories that we've captured. Like, it
Okay.
doesn't always only happen once. Sometimes it can be back to back pregnancies. And then sometimes you have a child, and then the next one is a pregnancy loss. So, yeah,
Wow.
I
I
think it's tough.
again, I didn't realize how common that was. To have multiple experiences of loss like this.
Oh yeah, we had a member or a volunteer in our organization not too long ago who had experienced 9 miscarriages
Oh my gosh.
before she just decided to finally stop trying and choose adoption. So yeah,
Gosh.
it can be very sequential and high in count.
Yeah, I can't even imagine, that my heart goes out to her because just to have experienced that loss s so many times, multiple
Right,
times. Oh my
right.
goodness. No, your organization is doing wonderful work, and I applaud you again for taking that, the moving forward and creating this group because you didn't see one out there for women and their partners and their families. And I hope that I will see Missing Pieces support group continue to grow. So how can we support you guys? How can we can support the group?
That's a great question. If you know somebody that's, experiencing this type of loss, point them in our direction. You can connect them with me. You can send them to our website. We are on all of the social platforms. They can find out more information if they want to passively, view our information before deciding to making a deeper commitment of getting a care package or joining a support group. So we're always looking for new people to help. If your is well connected with nurse practitioners, social workers in the hospitals, those are the people we need to talk to in order to get our care packages distributed directly and put in that person's hand when a loss occurs. So we love that type of referral. Um, we are always open to receiving donations because creating a free care package costs a pretty penny. So,
Yeah.
if you go to our website, we do have um, a care package fund listed within the drop down. that lets us know, hey, I'm choosing to donate money specifically for your care package resource and the continuation of that program. So
So are the care packages free for those who are experiencing loss? That's
absolutely.
wonderful. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. A lot of our resources, a lot of the money that we raise goes right back into creating those care packages and distributing them. So
Yeah, that's wonderful. So there you've heard it, folks. You can refer those you know who've experienced a pregnancy loss to Missing Pieces support group. You can refer potential partners to them, such as nurse practitioners, doctors, other healthcare providers, who would be able to then refer their patients to Missing Pieces support group. Is there is there a process where the doctor would just hand them a card, or the nurse would hand them a card and say, here's a group that may be able to assist you during this difficult time?
no, so the goal is to create a handoff agreement where we give them a certain amount of packages that they can store within their facilities and then just simply hand them off
Oh, that's wonderful.
at that time, so that they don't leave empty-handed. Kind of like when you're pregnant and you go to the doctor and they give you this lovely bag with all these discounts and things of that nature because
Yeah.
they're excited about your pregnancy. It's a similar type of package that shares that, hey, you're supported and cared for, and when you're ready to deal with this grief, we're here for you.
Oh, that's wonderful, because then it's one less thing that they have to encounter.
Yeah.
We want to share Debbie's comment. Thank you for this beautiful and needed resource. It's vital, especially in current
Thank
times.
you, Debbie. I
Debbie's
appreciate that.
a wonderful, wonderful person. So I highly encourage you to connect with Debbie if you've not
Yes,
had a chance, and vice versa. I did want to bring one thing up real quick, and not to get political, anybody who's watching, because this is not a political thing, but you did mention supporting those who had gone through abortions, because that is a loss as well.
it is.
I
It
think,
is.
again, not to be political, but I think so often the viewpoint is that, oh, they chose to do this, but there's still a loss and there's still grief after this has happened. And so thank you for offering that support for those who have to make that difficult decision as well.
Absolutely. Just with the mental health challenges that you have from, not having that choice to lose the pregnancy. There are things that a woman who has an abortion has to deal with as well. And
Mhm.
not every abortion that happens is one that's, an easy decision. It might be because of a medical reason that they had to abort, things of that nature. Not necessarily that they wanted to depart with that pregnancy, but it was a life and death matter.
Yeah.
So yeah, we also want to acknowledge and support that that community that has the same stigmatisms and taboo conversation
Yes.
issues that someone who goes through a miscarriage and a stillbirth does.
Yes. Well, unfortunately, I think there's a lot of stigma and taboo, and about discussing women's healthcare in general, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
And so, organizations like yours are at the forefront of leading that, and making it a normal thing that we can discuss. So I applaud you guys. And I'm looking forward to seeing you succeed for many, many years to come. I did want to bring up Social Sunday, because
Yes.
12 days.
Thank you for bringing that up. So we are hosting a networking event on Sunday, April 28th from 11 to 2 out at IAG Business Technology, which is right outside of the Heights, specifically for nonprofits to network, engage, create community. Because I've noticed that as a nonprofit leader, when we get together, we share the goods about what's working, what's not. Oh, have you tried this resource? Oh, let's partner together and make this an even bigger event. Things of that nature. So we want to give an opportunity to create community around nonprofits, because when you become community, you become family, and you share and you strive to see that other person win. So yeah, come on out if you're a nonprofit leader. We'd like to introduce you to some other local community people who are doing some great things. And, the goal there is, our tagline is to elevate impact. That's why I like that word you use, Dan, because when you get together, it's an opportunity to extend your reach
Absolutely.
and elevate that impact that you're making within your communities.
And it sounds like a fun event. I wish I was in town for it. So I will make sure to drop the link, because while I'm hosting this show, for whatever reason, I can't drop links into the comments. But I will definitely drop the link for Sunday Social. But you can also find it on Eventbrite, and it's happening on April 28th. And if you are a nonprofit leader, whether you are a nonprofit professional or a volunteer leader, I highly encourage you to check out the event, because, as you said, Jameela, it's so important to have this sense of connection and community with those who serve in the nonprofit sector. And I feel like that is still missing quite a bit as well.
It is. It is. As I begin to network as a nonprofit leader, I noticed so few opportunities that address and meet the needs of nonprofits. And so, when we, come together and try to help each other figure it out, there's also going to be an educational opportunity during this time that we meet up and network. And we have a featured presenter who's going to talk about, well, are you grant ready? Here's what you need to do in order to, get those funds that are, you don't have to pay back. But we always want to attempt to get those items, but we're not always sure about how to go about getting them. So you have to ready your organization to be able to apply and receive funding in that manner. So she's going to help debunk some myths and help ready us, some of our startup nonprofits in that lane.
That's wonderful, because you're right. There's so much information and so many things and pieces and details and all that you need when you're applying for a grant.
Absolutely.
And until you've gone through it, you don't know what all you need. And oftentimes, smaller grassroots organizations don't have all of their documents together to be able to move forward with a grant application. So I love the fact that you've got a guest speaker who will help to educate nonprofit professionals on this. And it's absolutely a needed discussion and topic. So don't forget, everybody, Sunday Social, you're able to find it on Eventbrite. I will drop the link after the show, I promise. And if you've not had a chance yet, please, I encourage you to connect with Jameela on LinkedIn for sure. Check out her website, JamilaHRobinson.com, to see the services she offers for marketing solutions for nonprofits and small businesses. And then definitely, please go check out missingpiecessupportgroup.org and learn how you can support the organization, or if you know someone who needs the resources offered by the group. It's all there for you on the website. Thank you so much, Jameela, for coming on today. I know this, I was like, I'm going to try not to cry when I'm talking to her, because I just think about my friends and family who've gone through this loss. And I feel like it just was not spoken about at all. And it was just kind of like, let's sweep it under the rug. And so I so appreciate the work that your group is doing.
Thank you so much. And, I feel like my story has empowered me to share in a manner that, it's no longer about me. It's about helping a community that has been silenced. And so when I share my story, it empowers another woman to share hers, another family to share theirs. Absolutely. And so that's why I have no issues with telling it now. So thank you for another opportunity to share.
Absolutely. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you are catching this on the replay, please feel free to drop any comments or questions. I'll make sure that it gets forwarded to Jameela. And then I will see you soon for the next episode of Purpose Amplified next month. I'll be making an announcement on who my guests will be. And in the meantime, go out there, connect with others, and see what kind of impact you can make in your own community or in our global community. Take care, everybody.